Alan, thank you for your call in this morning. I know you have a busy day at the legislature, but our point, we as a servant of our community, sort of update us on the situation out at Old Carriage and Sunset, the old Westry Crossing and everything, because not you, but ever who made the decision about not turning left and everything, and it's been a lifelong way of life. Just share with us from your standpoint, because I know you've probably been getting calls and concerns, and we just wanted to hear your voice to the community.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me on this morning. Senator Barnes and I set up a meeting with DOT, because this is one of the, I'd say probably top 3 reasons right now that we're getting local calls into the office, is the no left turns on Sunset or Old Carriage off of Sunset. As you said, it's having negative impacts on local businesses, and it defies drivers' expectations. And so there's a few things that need to be taken into consideration when DOT is doing a project. And so we had a meeting, kind of called everybody to the table, people from the community, people from DOT, had the division engineer, all the way down to one of the inspectors that used to work the project when I was with the department. And so the goal there was that we could have an open, honest communication between the department, the state representatives, and the community, and everybody could leave kind of on the same page. And while we didn't achieve a solution there, we did get an agreement from DOT that they would continue to look at potential solutions to include the possibility of putting left turns in, and that they were in the process of doing traffic counts. Now that might go until closer to Christmas, because as you guys know, school's not in right now, and that intersection is going to be heavily impacted by the traffic that comes from the high school there off of Old Carriage. And so what they want to do is they want to see how the no left turns impacts that. And so while it won't be a quick turnaround on a solution, it's not something that's going to happen in 2 to 3 weeks. We are scheduled to have a follow-up meeting either at the end of the fourth quarter of this year or the beginning of the fourth quarter in 2026, and that's going to be determined by how quickly DOT can get the high-volume traffic counts that they require.
Well, Representative Chesser, good morning. I just joined y'all.
Good morning, Sandra. How are you?
Good. People are saying, I don't understand, why can't you turn left? Why can you not turn left? I mean, yes.
Well, I can promise you that that question was voiced loudly, and it was voiced by me and some others in the room. That's where driver's expectation comes in. And so when drivers see a traffic pattern like that, especially in our region, there is no other traffic pattern, a signalized intersection like that, where there are no left turns in this area. I believe there are only 4 or 5 in the entire state.
Right, that's exactly what he said in my interview, yes.
So what DOT is doing is they're projecting 20 years down the road for increased traffic flow for when that new corridor right there on Sunset at 95 opens up.
Right.
They're anticipating a lot more traffic, but the conversation we had, and it's like I told everybody, there's no good guys or bad guys in this scenario. Everybody's trying to do what they think is best.
Right.
But the conversation that we did have mentioned that, we're planning for a theoretical traffic change in 20 years. Everybody agrees that we'll probably have more traffic in 20 years.
Sure.
The problem is do we get that shift in traffic 10 years from now, 5 years from now, or 18 years from now?
Right.
And in the time between now and whenever that traffic shift comes, we have a detrimental impact to local businesses. The local businesses are every business on that corner, to include the Sheets, the Hardee's there, Body Knoll Foundation, and the EP Mart, are experiencing a decline in their traffic. And so one of the things we encourage DOT to do, and we got a commitment that they would do it, we're just avoiding that intersection altogether.
Yeah,
Right.
And
that's
so
right.
Traffic is shifting to other roads where it wasn't intended.
They can go to another intersection and buy gas. There are gas stations and food at every intersection.
Especially the Nashville one.
Yeah, I mean, at every, exit. So they can just go
One
to
of the
the
questions
next.
that I asked is, because I watched your show with the doctor on there from the former NC State professor that now works for DOT. I forget his last name. I apologize.
Dr. Hummer.
Dr. Hummer, yes, ma'am. I watched your show, and he implied, if not explicitly stated a couple times on there, that there were negative impacts on the businesses, but they were kind of within the margins, or they were acceptable, and they expected that they would be able to recoup their losses within a reasonable amount of time.
Right.
And once the traffic pattern picked up. And so I simply asked DOT, I'd never seen that formula when I was with the department itself, where we looked at financial impact of the business. That is kind of an outlier, right? DOT looks at safety data.
Right.
And so it comes down to either the district, depending on what level the project is, but at this level it would be the division engineer, and maybe even the chief's office a little bit, but that's probably a little bit under the chief's office radar at this point, so it would be on the division engineer's radar to look at what we call the human impact of a project. The design engineers and all that, they look at safety. That's what they look at. And I think you got to hear Dr. Hummer talk about safety quite a bit.
Oh, yeah.
And he would fall in the box of what I would consider a design engineer.
Oh, yeah.
The vision engineer is supposed to be in contact with the community and seeing what the human impact is going to be. And so I just asked them if they could tell us what the acceptable financial impact to our local businesses could be. Like, what's acceptable as far as a financial loss for a business, and how long is acceptable for them to be able to recoup that loss, and what formula the DOT uses to anticipate those losses and the recoupment of those losses. And they got the point. The point is, they don't have a formula for that, and they should stay away from language like that in the future.
Right. Well,
It's not what the community wants to hear is, we're going to have a negative impact on you.
when we said something
It's
to
okay
Dr.
because we said we know better.
When we mentioned that to Dr. Hummer, he said, we're not good at that. When I asked him, had he done, were they going to do a study or whatever, he said, we're not good at that.
Right.
Well, Alan, let me say this, is that, those three businesses are there. The empty lot, I am told, was supposed to be Chick-fil-A coming and expanding.
Right.
And because once they saw this roundabout and no turn lefts, they pulled the deal.
And Slim Chickens.
I've been
And
told the
Slim
same thing,
Chickens.
and apparently DOT was aware of that as well. So I wasn't part of negotiating
Right.
any deals on any of the lots, but that seems to be a pretty standard understanding amongst the people that were in the room, is that yes, Chick-fil-A was interested in that vacant corner lot there, and the lack of turn lanes kind of killed that deal because it would have a negative impact on their customer base being able to get in and out of their business. And when they looked at it, they just assumed that people would just not go there because of the inconvenience of the intersection. And I think we're seeing that, and I think when DOT does the study of the adjacent roads, we're probably going to see that people are actually avoiding that intersection. An interesting data point that I was made privy to prior to the meeting, which is one of the reasons that I wanted to call the meeting, was there was earlier in July, there was a study done at that corner by DOT, and they were tracking the illegal left-hand turn.
Oh my gosh.
And in a 2.5-hour period, just on a regular weekday between, we'll say just after lunch, I don't remember the hours right off the top of my head. It's on my phone. I could pull it up. But it was not during rush hour, and it was, say, like July 15th or something. So school's not in session, and it's not during rush hour. Okay? There were over 170 illegal left-hand turns in that 2.5-hour
I will verify that because that's the way I go home.
Yeah.
If you extrapolate that out for a 24-hour period and then include rush hour and then 7 days a week, I mean you're getting into a major concern, and just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it won't happen. And that's the thing, is if we know the traveling public is doing it, you either have to make it impossible for them to do it or make it safe for them to do it. That's where we sit. And it's an interesting concept because even if you just say it's 250 people doing it a day, we
That's
don't
a lot.
have an increase in accidents at that intersection yet. We don't have people complaining that there's a backlog in the channelization of traffic, i.e., people are building up into the intersection waiting to turn left. Now, could that be because people are avoiding the intersection and we don't have as much traffic there yet? Or could it be because we don't have school in session yet? There's a lot of variables, and that's why we just need the extra data during heavy traffic times and heavy traffic periods to really finalize the decision. Like I said, no decision has been made yet, but at least we've got everybody at the table committed to having this conversation.
And I appreciate you doing that, Representative.
Well, wait until Little Easenburg and all that is open up in the next 4 to 6 weeks, and think about the traffic flow that's going to happen. And then when 95, because that's going to increase that area traffic, I would say double.
Right. And I get it with the school traffic. I get that they want to wait and do traffic counts and traffic studies then. I get that.
Yeah. Let me ask you, Alan, your schedule. You have given us time, but you can talk as long as you want to until I have to take a break in about 3 to 5 minutes. But you have provided to the community some important data, and if you want to close, or I'm wanting to respect your time because you have other obligations.
Yeah, it's fine. I could probably stay on for another 3 to 5 minutes for your next break.
Okay, then, well, your parting remarks.
Yeah, I would say, I appreciate the positive feedback we've gotten on this meeting. Part of me hates that people are surprised we're doing this. One of the things that we promised, and one of the things that I think you guys have seen under my tenure, and really the State House has taken hold of since Destin Hall has become Speaker up there, is this renewed commitment to state oversight on state programs, state dollars, how they're being spent, what the impact to the community is. This is one of the things that we've decided we're going to make a priority as the General Assembly, and in particular the House chamber, the House side of it. And so this is just one of many areas where we're reaching out, we're getting feedback on where our state dollars are spent. I'm currently in process of trying to schedule a meeting right now with the county to figure out the great grant stuff. You saw a story in the paper where they put $4.5 million into Cloudwise to get internet for 280 people or something like that. That's not a great return on investment, and it's mostly state dollars or federal dollars that are administered through the state. So we're responsible for.
We have been talking
so
about
I know
that.
The county, they're saying $4.5 million, but that's not all their dollars. They had to match a little bit of it, maybe $1 million, $1.5 million. But I think that the citizens of the county deserve an answer. They deserve to have somebody holding local government accountable, and that's one of the roles that state government plays, and the State House has declared that they're going to fulfill the oversight role.
That is so refreshing.
It's one of our constitutional duties, and we're going to exercise it.
Well, that's why we need
Very
you and
refreshing.
others along this line, because when I'm spending somebody else's money, it's easy.
Yeah, right, exactly.
But
Right.
and it gets back to leadership. I mean, that's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. But anyway, Well, that's encouraging, but I want to say this before we leave, is last night my wife was at an event, and of course the 10 House bills that you have been a part of that have passed, and thank goodness for the vetoes that have come on some real issues under our current governor, and now we got to face our ex-governor coming in. But anyway, I just want to thank you for you and others supporting those bills to make our students and our community and our safety and foster children and everything for your efforts.
Well, thank you. I'm proud to serve. I'm happy that and humbled that the people continue to allow me to serve in this capacity, and so try not to waste the opportunity and do what I can. So while I'm there, I'm going to work hard.
Well, we appreciate it. Anything in the last 15, 20 seconds?
No, I just appreciate you guys' time and the willingness to bring these issues to the public.
Well,
thank you for
understand.
working hard for us.
Well, understand, we thought after the meeting last week that if we could get you on, and working, I know it's difficult because, I mean, raising a family and doing your job and legislating is tough, and I don't see how you do it, but we appreciate it, and if we need you, all we can do is request, and if you find time, thank you so very much.
Well, I appreciate you guys. Happy to come on.
Okay,
Thank you.
bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Well, ladies and
I
gentlemen,
think we have some more guests in
that's
the
what
house.
you look for in leaders. I mean, because I know his schedule today, and I know I've been working on this for several days, and he made efforts to be with us
Oh,
this
he did,
morning.
because he had an 8 o'clock meeting.
And I'm telling you this is that he's working on this. But like our government, attorney, like the last cabinet in Washington, D.C., where they bring in people that have not a clue about law and order, not a clue about foreign diplomacy, and they are put in as the head of it. And the Department of Transportation is thinking about safety. We're thinking about our community and economics and safety.
Exactly.
So with that, we've got to go because we've got another segment coming up.
We do. Stay tuned. You're going to get some breaking news right here.